Hello there. Welcome to the Amma Manson Show. So, hopefully, you are not a stranger here. But what goes on here is education, definitely some empowerment. We add humor, information, and just a good vibe generally. It is not just a talk show, it's a live show. We talk about life, we unpick life, we find solutions to the things that stress us in life, and we make progress together. It is the Amma Manson Show, and my name is Amma, your girl, your educator, your motivator, and I kick your hind wherever we need to. Enjoy. Invite other people to join in, and hopefully, you have a wonderful, wonderful experience on today's show. Let's get straight into things. Well, it's your brand, our expertise, and success. Welcome to Amma Manson's Marketing Publicity Package. Interesting services which allow you to get your brand noticed. We will bring you to the digital space, whether you are personally ready or not, to increase your reach much better than traditional media. We are a company with many years of experience, and we bring those to digital media to help you represent your brand and to do social media strategy, social media management, social media setup, brand analysis, where we help you create awareness of your brand perception, where we let you perceive your brand, compare your brand to similar ones to see performance. We help you expand your reach using our analytics. We help you showcase your previous work. We help you appeal to the new market. We increase your online presence using digital campaigns. Your reach increases.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you. I apologize for the funny technical glitches. So I have a guest. My guest keeps popping in and popping out, but he will be back in and we will have a conversation. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Amma. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. The network problems is going to be the bane of my life today.
But we'll do our best.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience. Right. Hello, everybody. So it's a pop interview. It was unpublished because I wasn't sure whether it was going to happen or not, and I wanted to keep it an element of surprise. So I have got a phenomenal guest. I'm so excited that he's agreed to speak to me. I really did shoot. I made a shot. I wasn't sure whether Sam spoke to little people like me or whether he only spoke to very big people. So I am relieved to see that he speaks to little people like me. Thank you for that. I'm really grateful.
You're welcome. I'm a little person with a big God. I started from the bottom, and so I don't forget where I started from. And whatever we can do, we speak to everybody and anybody, so long as it's a productive conversation.
Oh, that's amazing. Because from my experience, I've tried to speak to a few people, but it turns out that you need to have either a very big wig or you wear very high heels, both of which I don't do. So it doesn't work.
well, I'm an ordinary guy, so I guess that makes two of us.
Hey, all right. So let's get to the ordinariness of it. I'll ask you some questions about things. So on this show, I tend to speak to personalities. I want to understand what's going on the political terrain at home. I want to get as diverse views as I can so that people who watch with me also come to an informed decision in the end. So, but before we get to that point, let me give you 2 minutes to tell us about you, a little bit about you, that the audience.
Okay, now I feel like I'm in class one, a comprehension class in class one, where I've been asked to write a comprehension about myself.
Oh, it's only 2 minutes. Easy.
Yeah, well, in every comprehension about myself, you start with your name. So my name is Samuel Nate George,
right.
Known also as Jata, which is a Ghan word or a Ghanaian word for lion. which is basically what my moniker is. I'm the Member of Parliament for the Ningo Pram constituency in Ghana's Parliament. I am. I have a first degree in agric engineering. I have another degree in law. My degree in agric engineering is from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and my degree in law is from the University of London. I'm basically done with a master's degree in conflict, peace, and security from the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center. I've got quite a number of IT certificates. That's by way of education. I'm married to one wife, and I've got three kids,
Okay.
two boys and a girl. I welcomed the girl 6 weeks ago, so she's
Oh, wow.
the latest addition. Yeah, just 6 weeks ago. Hopefully, she's the last. Given the world
Good.
economy, you don't want to have too many kids. So yeah. So I mean that's about me. I've got a passion for communications, technology, security, agriculture. Basically, that's about me. And I support two football clubs in the world: Accra Hearts of Oak and the Arsenal Football Club. The rest of
Now
them
you
are the rest of the other football clubs are that claim to be football clubs are just keep fit clubs.
right. So finally, I've met somebody who understands good football. Good football, not necessarily to
Absolutely.
win.
We play football how we ought to be played.
You know what I mean? Textbook football, not necessarily to win trophies, but the
No.
way football we enjoy.
Trophies are a byproduct of the enjoyment of the game.
Do you know what I mean? We'll get along just fine. So not just the business side of it. I like that. No, I was excited. I am still excited to speak to you because yes, I like talking to people who are good communicators. And it's not necessarily just about noise making. It's not necessarily just about shouting all the time because I don't understand the noise. I want to understand what's going on from an articulate point of view, which is why I wanted to catch you and speak to you. So Sam, it's been like 11 months since I came home. I left home last summer. I was hoping to be back earlier. But with recent developments, coming home hasn't worked. And it's still an election year. It's still a decision-making year. And I think there's a lot of people who are caught in just like me. And we want to know what's going on. We want to know the status of affairs so that when we come to decision-making, we might do so from an informed point. So again, bring me up to speed, please. What's going on at home? What's the current status?
Well, biggest issue in Ghana today has to do with the decision by the Electoral Commission to conduct a new voters roll, a new voters register. And I mean, it's no secret that I'm a member of the NDC, and that definitely determines my view.
Okay.
It's not necessarily because the NDC believes in or takes a position. I'm someone who likes to think for myself and take my own decisions on the basis of what it is that has to be done. And so the biggest decision or discussion now in Parliament or in Ghana is about the new voters register, which the Electoral Commission has issued a statement that they will start on the 30th of this month. I'm opposed to it, just like the NDC is. But the government is in support of it. I'm opposed to it for a number of reasons. And for that reason, I'm not a member of the Special Budgets Committee in Parliament that deals with the Electoral Commission. However, this year, when the Special Budgets Committee met with the Electoral Commission, I applied to sit in that meeting as a friend of the committee. And I placed a number of questions to the Electoral Commissioner, Madam Jean Mensah, and her deputy, Bosman Asai. And about 6 months since that meeting, they promised to make some documents available to me. Up till now, those documents have not been made available because I wanted to understand what the issues are. The major sticking or bone of contention here, sticking point, is the fact that in the compilation of this new register, the Electoral Commission holds the view that only two documents must be proof of citizenship, one being the Ghana card and the second being a Ghanaian passport. If you do not have any of these two, you will need to have somebody who has been previously registered, because he has one of those two, to come and vouch for you. Now, I find that extremely worrisome, given the fact that majority of Ghanaians do not have the Ghana card. The Ghana National Identification Authority issued 6 million Ghana cards. Now,
Oh, hi, Angela. Hi, everybody.
hello.
All right. Hi, Sam. I'm here. Can you hear me fine?
Good. So I was saying that yeah, I can. I was speaking about the Ghana card and the issues that I have with the Ghana card.
Yes, please.
The bottom line here is you have about 6 million cards being issued by the National Identification Authority for the Ghana card. Now, if you look at the last electoral roll, there were almost 17 million people on register. Now, when the National Identification Authority has issued 6 million cards, these cards are for people even below 18, because anybody from the age of, I think, 8 years is qualified to get a Ghana card. But for the voters' roll, you're looking at only people who are 18 and above.
Yeah.
And so it then means that you can have an extrapolation that says that out of the 6 million people, somewhere around 4 million people would be above 18. It means that those people who can use to register. Now, that for me is a challenge. When you're expecting to register about 17 million people, and the primary document you want to use, only 4 million people have it. When you look at the data on those who have passports, there are about 2 million passport holders in the country. Now, this 2 million passport holders include those of you who have Ghanaian passports and are in the diaspora. It also includes people. Sorry?
You said those of you, and I'm like, that's assuming I'm in that group. Maybe it's them, not me.
Okay, well, fine. Those of our viewers and those who are watching us who are in the diaspora and have and are using the Ghanaian passport, all of them are included in the 2 million figure. Again, my 2-year-old son has a Ghanaian passport because he was supposed to be eligible to vote. So it tells you that out of the 2 million, a challenge. Out of 2 people, you're gonna number of people who can possibly use that passports to register. So all in all, give and take, you're looking at maximum 6 million people who can have documents to register. And that's a very, very conservative or very, very generous estimation. You want to register 17 to 18 million people. Just about 30% of them have the source document. But when you look at the old voters ID card, for example, the old voters ID card, you have 15 to 16 million people already having the old voters ID card. That is a proper document to use to do a new registration. If you want to do a new registration, and someone will say, oh, but if you want to do a new registration, why should we use the old card? Well, you're taking biometrics afresh. So if my old card was illegally acquired, or I am not to be the holder of that card, when I get the registration, you're able to cross-reference the biometrics of the card holder against the new biometrics you're going to take. No two people have the same biometrics. And so it's easy for you to weed out people who may want to be imposters or acquire their cards illegally. Again, when you look at the Ghana card, one of the base documents or source documents, one of the base documents to be able to acquire the Ghana card is a birth certificate. To get a Ghana card, you need to show a birth certificate or a passport. To get a passport, you need to show a birth certificate. And so if the Electoral Commission is saying that they would accept Ghana cards that you can get through a passport, or passports that you can get through a birth certificate, why is the birth certificate in itself not an accepted document? The two documents you are accepting are a byproduct of a birth certificate. So how then do you say that you would accept a passport which was acquired using a birth certificate? You would accept a Ghana card that was acquired using a birth certificate and a passport, or a passport, but you will not accept the birth certificate.
All right. So guys, you will have to be very patient with me today. I do have network issues, and it's clearly also on my guest end. So be patient. I've seen that I've lost signal. Yeah, we had lost signal. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Hi, welcome back. It's going to be one of those. We will have network.
The network is quite horrible. Hello?
We will work on it. Don't worry. I hope you can hear me.
I can barely hear you.
Oh,
Hello?
hello. Is it better? Can you hear me, Sam?
Add echo. I can't hear you.
Right, let's try it. Could you re-enter and let's see if we can make it better? All right, guys, like I said, be patient with me, please. We are working with, it's one of the most challenging networks I've had to work with, but I do want to have the conversation. I want us to get the information from Sam. He's been very generous to speak to me, and I think we will learn an awful lot. There we go. He's back. Welcome, Sam. Hi. Is it better? Can you hear me? No? Oh dear. Is it better, Sam? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi. Can you hear me? No? Right. What's happened to my sound? Hello, Sam. No? Right.
Hello?
Hello. Hi. Hi, Sam. Can you hear me? No. And that's the point the internet decided to refresh to. Right, guys, you will have to be patient with me. Very patient. I am patient. Sam seems very patient. And you need to be patient too, so that we can get this discussion concluded. Yeah. Trying to get him back on and then we can have a conversation. Right, those of you who are on and have questions, please ask. So Lucifer says, please tell him to tell the government to focus more on science and technology. Okay, I will try and tell Sam. Hello, can you hear me? Same old. Can you hear me? Right, guys, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Hello.
Can you hear me? Great.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear now.
Oh, finally. Thank God for that. Right.
Yeah.
Apologies for the interruptions.
No, that's fine.
To let it work. I was going to ask you about the passport. So I spoke to somebody a few weeks ago, and the person said to me, when you make a passport or you do a Ghana card, it requires secondary processing of supplementary data. So it's not the birth certificate you take on. But if you decide to work with just the birth certificate, you only work with primary data. And is it not more secure to reconfirm people's identities with things that has undergone secondary processing?
All right. That's a fine technical question to ask. But the issue here is this. At the end of the day, you already have data that has been taken on the old voter's ID card. So if we want to cross-reference primary data with secondary data and cross-reference it and be sure that we're having matching data, which is not what the Electoral Commission is actually doing, because the Electoral Commission is not cross-referencing whatever new data they take with the NIA database. That is not going to be done. No, both interfaces, both databases are not connected and do not speak to each other. So,
Right.
so let's not create the impression. That's what I'm saying is a fantastic technical question, because if the Electoral Commission was going to be doing a cross-referencing of data, that would be a security check that you would say is a good technical thing to do.
That's what I thought.
However, no, that's not what's happening. The Electoral Commission is building a brand new database that does not talk to the NIA database. That's one thing. And secondly, it would have been better for you to be cross-referencing new data that you're taking by the Electoral Commission with existing data at the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission already has the old cards that have biometric data. So why are you not cross-referencing? And that makes more sense, because at the end of the day, the NIA is a statutory body by law. The EC is a statutory body by law. If you want to begin to cross-reference databases, you'll need to have a change to the legislation that allows for external cross-referencing or external access to the database of the NIA. Because don't forget, the NIA's database is protected under the Data Protection Act of Ghana. They are not supposed to share that data with any other agency. The Electoral Commission is also bound by the Data Protection Act. And that's why recently, when it came out that the Electoral Commission had given access to a private company called, I think, B Systems, to allow banks verify your voter's card when you went to do a transaction. There was a furore, and I took the Electoral Commission on because the Data Protection Act of Ghana insists that if you take my data as a big data handler, you must specify to me what you're taking my data for.
Absolutely.
When the Electoral Commission took my biometrics and my data, they told me they were taking my data for purposes of public elections and referenda. They did not tell me that they would engage in a commercial activity that will make them money by giving access to my data to a private business. Do you understand? The data protection issues here? And so
absolutely.
And so that's why I'm saying that there would need to have been a change to the legislation, which shouldn't even be a problem, to allow the NIA and the Electoral Commission databases to communicate. But in the absence of that, you could still have had this cross-referencing if we were allowing the data that sat already at the electoral data to be cross-referenced with new data that was going to be collected today. So I could go there with my old voter's ID card. When I swipe my old voter's ID card, or when the biometric verification device takes my thumbprint, and then there's a scanning of the 2D barcode that is on my card, what happens is that they're able to match the new data prints I'm entering with the old data prints. And then you can have a cross-reference.
But that's what we need. I think that is what we weed out the system.
Sorry?
I was just saying that's what we need. We have infirmities in the system. I don't think anybody will argue it. We need to weed out those infirmities.
You see, when it comes to infirmities or deformities or inaccuracies in the system, whichever one it is, if you conduct a new register today, by December 7th, that register is also not going to be perfect. There are going to be inaccuracies in it, because between August, when you finish the register, and December, when we'll have the polls, there'll be dead people on the polls, on the register. There'll be people who have died, whose names will still be on the register. Look, and I've been making a very spirited argument here in Ghana that nobody wants to listen to. My argument is simple. I don't think in the United Kingdom, the election management body in the Electoral Kingdom keeps doing a new registration every time. No, they don't do new registration. When you turn 18, you get a notice in your mail, and then you register. You can choose to sign up as Labour or Conservative or whatever you want to do, and then you're able to vote. The way to fix this problem in Ghana is very simple. But because this is Ghana and this is Africa, and people don't want to use common sense, forgive my Greek, we won't do what's right. All we need to do is to digitize our births and deaths registry. That's all we need to do. That's all we need to do. And so you need less than 10% of what the Electoral Commission claims they're going to use for a new register to digitize the births and deaths registry. Nobody dies in Ghana and is buried without the issuance of a death certificate. Everybody who dies is buried after there's an issuance of a death certificate. Yeah. So imagine that we had a digitized births and deaths registry in Ghana. What you'll be looking to cross-reference the Electoral Commission's data against is the births and deaths registry, not any other registry. Because then, as soon as a child is born, that child's data is entered into the births registry. So you are able to tell when that child turns 18. The Electoral Commission doesn't have to wait for an election to do a registration. I don't need to wait for an election year to get registered. So long as I turn 18, I can walk into a district office of the Electoral Commission, and once the Electoral Commission enters my biometrics or my data, it will cross-reference it with the births and deaths registry, which will show that I have really turned 18. That will help us weed out minors on our register. That's one. Two, when someone dies and a death certificate is issued, automatically that person is labeled deceased.
Yeah.
The Electoral Commission database will cross-reference with that birth and death registry and automatically delete that name from the polls. It's as simple as ABC. But and this is so common and so basic. But you see, what this does is it takes away the opportunity to do procurement for a new register. I mean, someone is doing procurement to the tune of over $250 million. You don't want to tell me that everything is clean and squeaky clean in there. I mean, this is public funds. Okay, so somebody wants to procure $250 million worth of hardware instead of spending just about $30 million to fix our birth and death registry and solve this forever. So someone does, and I mean, the system is happy about this because today it is somebody else who is in control. Tomorrow it will be another person, and that person will come and also say, I want a new register and also do a new procurement. And if it's taxpayers' money, we keep burning away like that.
It suits everybody and it has to stop. I'm glad you brought it up because, in fact, a few years ago, I heard there was digitalization of the birth and death register. I have heard it before.
Nothing has happened there.
But you heard it too. I heard that it was happening, so I assumed that it had happened.
There's a lot of fanciful talk in Ghana and in Africa. There's a lot of fanciful talk by politicians, myself included, that never really sees the light of day. I mean, the vice president, Dr. Baumia, promised us that in 2019 every trotro in Ghana will have Wi-Fi. I mean, fanciful dreams. There's a lot of beautiful talk that never sees that never sees fruition. So yes, people will talk about digitalization, but you see, when it goes to the heart of the corruption in the system is going to fight the actualization of that dream. And you see, that's the point I keep making. And I keep saying that, look, I'm a politician today, but before I became a politician, I was a citizen, and I'm not going to be a politician forever. I'm going to leave this office where I sit in and be a regular citizen. And I came into politics because I thought that I wanted to effect a change. And that's why I'm an activist politician. Okay? And that's why I'm always challenging the status quo. And that's why I don't see why certain things happen the way they happen. Look, it doesn't need to be MPP or NDC. The bottom line is the people who just want to milk the state. And that's why, for example, on this conversation about digitizing our birth and death registry, which will fix this whole noise about minors on the register, about dead people on the register and all of that, nobody's interested in it because individuals across the political spectrum will benefit from the procurement politics that happens every 4 years when we have to do a new register.
Well, I'm glad you raised it. So, Sam, I'm going to ask you a question. You're a member of parliament, right?
Yeah.
You're an MP. What would it take for you to champion this and to campaign this until it's actually done? What would you think?
The structure of our parliament is different from the UK. In fact, I've argued that our parliament, the parliament I'm a member of, is a very confused parliament. We don't know whether we are birds or animals. We are bots. Because I mean, it's a confused parliament because we run a hybrid system, a hybrid of the UK Westminster system and the American Congress system. So we're confused. We really don't know what we want to do. In the UK, a member of parliament can actually initiate legislation that will bring change. The same thing happens in the United States. In Ghana, this is the beautiful situation. On the books, it says that a member of parliament can initiate what we call a private member's bill. However, in the constitution and the standing orders of parliament, it says that any bill that a private member would initiate that would cost the taxpayer or cost the government 1 cedi or more will not be allowed. So that's the confusion I'm speaking about. So you want me to bring in a bill that will not cost the government any money. Now, if I'm initiating a bill for the digitization of the birth and death registry, it's not even going to go through first reading. It's not even going to be accepted by the Speaker of Parliament because that will incur cost for the state. It's like when there's gun violence or recently when there were stabbings and all of that in parts of the UK, and a member of parliament decides that he wants to pass legislation for tighter policing in his constituency or across the UK. That is going to that's going to demand that the Exchequer puts in more money into Homeland Security. Yeah. In Ghana, you cannot do that because anything that is going to make the government spend 1 cedi one city. And I think I need to pull up the constitution. In the course of our conversation, I will pull it up and then read specifically to you what our standing orders and constitution say. So it's quite difficult to. It's easy for people to say, you're a member of parliament. Why don't you get it done? Get it done.
Yeah.
Fix it. Unfortunately, we have a system that is built to prevent you from fixing it. Because if you say, as a member of parliament, I cannot introduce a bill that has financial considerations for the state, what bill could you possibly bring that would affect the lives of people and not place a financial consideration on the state? You tell me.
I'm confused. So who can bring this bill then? If you can't?
Only government. Only government can bring a bill that would impose cost on it. Your guess is as good as mine. How many times will government bring a bill that would impose cost on themselves? I serve on the Communications Select Committee of Parliament. And in Ghana, one of the major issues that we have has to do with fiber cuts. Okay? Because a lot of the telcos have laid their fiber. After laying their fiber, then a road contract is given. The road contractor just goes and cuts through the fiber whilst he's doing the substructure of the road. It cuts off community. It's huge cost to the telcos. I wanted to pass legislation. I wanted to sponsor legislation that would criminalize the cutting of fiber and designate fiber as a critical national infrastructure, information infrastructure. The Attorney General's department wrote back to me when I sent them my proposal and said, "We're sorry, we cannot support you, because if you bring such a bill that is going to impose cost on a contractor working for government because he has cut a fiber, that contractor is going to surcharge government. And when he surcharges government, it means government will have to pay. The Constitution says that you cannot bring a bill that would bring cost to government. So the system is, we have a sick system. And you see,
right.
I worked in the office of the president as his communication specialist for 4 years, President Mahama.
Okay.
And I saw the weakness in the system. And I thought, okay, you know what? Let me leave the executive. Let me go into the legislature. Let me help pass legislation that would compel the executive to do the right thing. I've come into the legislature and I've seen that, look, the mess is deeper than I even thought.
You know what's actually funny? The more we talk, the more I'm beginning to. So I spoke to Ernesto Yeboah a few weeks ago. And one of the things Ernesto says is that we do have a clown constitution. We called it another term, but it's a joke constitution. And at the time, he gave examples, and the more I listen to it, the more I am beginning to lean towards that. How do you have a constitution which says that you cannot legislate and incur government any cost? So how do you legislate that?
Yeah, that's the point. So Parliament is basically a rubber stamp for the executive. And I mean, this is not about just the Akufo-Addo administration. It's about every administration, from Jerry Rawlings's administration through President Kufuor, through President Mills, through President Mahama, to this government and to the next government that will come. Parliament is basically a rubber stamp. And you see, the problem here is every member of Parliament, almost every member of Parliament is actually in Parliament and seeking to catch the eye of the executive, because parliamentarians are woefully paid. Look, MPs in Ghana are one of the worst paid MPs across the African continent. We're so poorly paid that every MP is hoping that he's going to catch the eye of the executive president, who's going to appoint him as a deputy minister or as a minister. And hopefully he could then make some benefits from office. Look, this is the stark truth many people don't want to say. Many of my colleagues will be angry at me for saying this.
Oh, let them be angry.
This is what the truth is. If we want to fix our country, we need to own up to the problems of our country, identify these problems, and work towards fixing them. But if we don't identify what the problems are, we beat around the bush. Because the point is, look, let me give you a typical example. You have a member of parliament who is a minister of state.
Yeah.
Now, this member of parliament, this minister of state, works for the president, works for the executive. Yeah. Now, the executive wants a certain thing done. The minister puts together a memo to cabinet. This minister sits in cabinet, convinces cabinet that is made up of the same group of people with the president, gets cabinet approval. brings it to Parliament, which is what the Constitution says, that when you get cabinet approval, Parliament must approve it, brings that cabinet memo to Parliament seeking approval. Then when it comes to Parliament, that minister who originated the document and who is a member of Parliament now comes to sit in Parliament to do scrutiny of his or her own document.
Have you seen my face? Oh my good God. Right, guys, we have network issues, okay? Sam and I, we have problems. We're trying to fix them. But I hope that the interview is as much of an eye-opener for you, Law, as it is for me. It's incredible. It really is.
Hello.
Hi, sir.
Right. Yeah, so I was given the scenario of a minister to originate a document, sends it to cabinet, gets cabinet approval, and when it comes to Parliament for scrutiny, that minister who originated the document comes to sit in Parliament as a member of Parliament and takes part in the scrutiny of his own document and gives approval to himself and goes back to go and execute it in the executive. How do you have any proper check and balance like that?
I mean, slow down. My head is spinning. I'm trying to. I'm really trying.
Until we have a Parliament that is truly independent of the executive, where no member of Parliament is allowed to serve in government. The president must appoint the Parliament. In that case, must give parliamentarians well to do their job well. When a parliamentarian does not need a favor from the government, that is when he's going to be able to hold governments to account. But today, sitting in Parliament, there are things that come from government and members of the MPP who are members of the MPP, but because they're on the other side, will walk across the aisle to you and say, look, I don't agree with this thing, but I can't speak about it. So I need it's good for our country. But he can't speak again about it, because if he speaks about it, he's either going to lose his appointment because he's a deputy minister or a minister, or if he's hoping that in the next reshuffle he'll be made a minister or a deputy minister. And this is not just about MPP. It happens in the
But then let me ask a question. Sam, I'm sorry. The network is poor. I don't know if you can hear me. But this is incredible.
You're breaking up bad.
Is it better?
It looks like government is not happy with what I'm saying, so the internet is really acting up. I can't hear you.
Even if it takes that I call you, we will.
Hello.
Oh, yes, hi. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hi. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It's a lot of feedback.
Is that?
I can. A lot of echo and feedback, but yeah, I can squeeze it out.
You can just about. Okay, I'll get closer. I'm trying to understand how somebody. So listen, like I said, I've been speaking to people and I've been wondering if we have any. Hey, Sam. Is it better? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, man. There's a lot of echo and distortion in the sound from your end. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Hi, Sam.
Okay.
Is it better? Can you hear me?
No, it's not.
It's not? Okay. Let's
sound better there. Yeah.
Okay. Please go and come back one more time and let's see if it improves. Okay, yeah, the network is not great. It was actually my whole computer shut down at some point. There was a noise, which I don't even recognize. All right. Do bear with me, guys. A lot of things are going on at the same time. I'm hoping that Sam would be able to come back and join in. Thanks, Angela. You can hear me fine. Great. He's back.
Hello.
Hey, Sam. Is it better?
Much better now.
Fabulous. Let's talk. So let me ask. I'm a girl, okay? And according to Ghanaian traditions, I am the feeble I'm the feeble one. But I'm brave enough to say certain things that apparently men in our land cannot say because they want a deputy minister appointment. Is that what you're saying?
Not just men, everybody. Everybody is looking for an appointment. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Most people in parliament are hoping to catch the eye of the executive and get appointed to a board or get appointed as a minister or as a deputy minister. You know, and the truth of the matter is that's how the system has been built. This system, we're running a system that is built to enhance corruption. Look, I'm gonna ask yourself. People talk about Jerry Rawlings and say he was corrupt. Yeah. In fact, you can go as far back as Kwame Nkrumah. Almost every president of Ghana has been accused of corruption.
Yes.
So let's ask ourselves: the people who become presidents of this country, are they from a different country or are they Ghanaians? Are they like just all of us?
So now you're asking some of my questions, yes?
So these are ordinary. This is who we are. Are we then accepting that every Ghanaian is corrupt, or are we saying? And I'll come to answer all those questions I'm asking. Are we saying that anybody who becomes president? So President Rawlings. Let me look at the Fourth Republic. President Rawlings was bad, so we changed. We brought President Kufuor. President Kufuor was accused of the same things and worse that we accused President Rawlings of, and said he was horrible. So we brought Professor Mills, man of God. Professor Mills was accused of being corrupt and overseeing corruption. President Mahama came. Oh, President Mahama is even worse. He's horrible. Let's change. Let's bring Nanado. Nanado is there today. Look, story is even worse. So question is it that when you get elected as president or get elected to public office, you are sent for an orientation and taught how to be corrupt and how to steal? No, that's not so it tells you that the problem is not the individuals we elect. The problem is the system that they come to meet.
And it is us who facilitate it too.
Absolutely. Because you see, I don't hide it. I put out, I believe that because I'm a public servant, stuff about my office is not private, it's public. So I'm not one who is afraid to put out what I earn. My salary is 19,000 cedis. Okay?
Right.
Now someone will say that's a lot of money. No,
hold on. As a teacher, that's an awful lot.
Hold on. So as a member of parliament, I earn 19,000 cedis. That's what my salary is on paper. But you see, as a member of parliament, there's the belief that because I have to do a lot of travels and a lot of running around the country, I need to have a 4x4 vehicle. So government will buy a 4x4 vehicle, a Land Cruiser, preferably, and give it to me upon assumption of office. And people say he becomes an MP and he gets a Land Cruiser. Hold it. No, it's not free.
Right.
Every month, the government deducts 5,000 cedis from my salary for that Land Cruiser. Every month. So it's not a free Land Cruiser.
Okay.
It's a Land Cruiser I pay for. It's a commercial loan that is taken in my name, and the bank takes its money from me every month. So my 19,000 cedis, 5,000 is already out by virtue of a Land Cruiser that whether I needed it or I didn't need it, the government has bought it for me, and I must take it.
You must.
Because the loan is contracted for 275 MPs. That's why I'm telling you that the system is built in such a way. So you go to some MPs who've been MPs for 4 terms and they have 4 Land Cruisers sitting in their house.
Right.
Because don't forget that in taking a loan, there's always a facilitation fee here. There's a cost here. Whoever arranges the loan. I mean, this is business. So every 4 years, somebody's making that business. Good. So my 19,000, 5,000 cedis is taken out of it automatically to service that loan. Then I am also put on, in fact, previously was 35%. We had to rebel, and then it dropped to 25% as income tax. So almost another 5,000, about 4,800 is deducted. So let's say another 5,000 is deducted as income tax.
Right.
So my 19,000. So my 19,000 has dropped from 19,000. Income tax and the V8 alone take 10,000 out of it. So before the salary hits my account, it's left with just about 10,000. No, sorry, it's left with about 9,000.
Do you know what's interesting? I'm listening to that, and now I understand why everybody wants to be an MP.
No, you see, and those who want to be an MP don't see this picture I am painting, because if they see this picture I'm painting, they won't be excited about it. Because you see, yes, because I may not need a Land Cruiser.
Sam, if I'm a teacher, and if I was in Ghana, I'll be lucky to earn 2,000. Okay, lucky to earn 2,000. I have people in the universities.
But you haven't allowed me to learn, Amma. You haven't allowed me to learn.
Oh,
You're looking at the 19,000.
Right.
You are looking at the 19,000, and I've broken it down for you that I have to cough out 5,000 as income tax.
Yeah.
And I see Fifi saying there's free fuel. There's no free fuel for MPs. Please, don't get it twisted. MPs don't get free fuel. Okay, I'm an MP. MPs don't get free fuel. MPs don't get free accommodation. They don't get free electricity. They don't get free water. You pay all of those for yourselves. Yes, that is the fact. I'm telling you. Okay. Secondly, my 19,000, I've shown you how 10,000 of it is already wiped out, whether I like it or not. So what actually comes into my account is supposed to be 9,000. Now, as a member of parliament, I'm supposed to support my political party. So 1,000 Ghana cedis is deducted. Oh, you're laughing. Welcome to the club. 1,000 Ghana cedis is deducted as caucus dues to support the caucus, either as a minority or a majority. So I'm left with 8,000. Now, if I took a bank facility to execute my last campaign or something, the bank is also going to take whatever they want to take. So I know MPs who go home with 2,000 or 3,000 cedis. Now, don't forget that he's going to pay his rent, he's going to pay his children's school fees, he's going to pay his bills, he's going to feed his family from that money. However, in all of this, your constituents also come to you on a daily basis with demands for money for school fees, money for medicals, money for funerals, and all of that. And then I know people are going to jump and say, oh, but you have the MP's Common Fund. Hold it again. The MP's Common Fund, called the MP's Common Fund, but that fund is not in your name. No MP is a signatory to the MP's Common Fund. So I have an MP's Common Fund for my constituency. The money is released every quarter. It's about 60,000 cedis every quarter. That's for every 3 months. So it comes to about 20,000 cedis every month. But it's released in a quarter. We are currently at the end of the second quarter of 2020. The last quarter that was released was the third quarter of 2019. So I'm still waiting for fourth quarter 2019 before first quarter 2020. Now, when that money is released, it is not released to me. It is released to the district. It is released to my district assembly. My DCE is the signatory to the account, not me. So when a constituent makes a request to me, I take his request, I take my letterhead, I do a request to my DCE, asking his approval to pay that. If my DCE thinks that my request is not justified, he would decline it, and I have no say over it. So yes, it's called an MP's Common Fund, but the MP doesn't control it.
So it's the DCE's Common Fund.
Well, but ultimately, that's why I've told you that's why MPs are always going to fall over themselves to please the man who sits in the Flagstaff House, so that he gives them an appointment where they can give out a contract. MPs don't give contracts, but a minister can give a contract. The minister doesn't have to be corrupt, but when he gives out a contract, per our tradition and our culture, so when I give a contract out, that contractor will come and thank me, or maybe when I'm going into an election, come and print T-shirts for me. So that is the benefit. But if I'm just an MP and I've not given anybody a contract, who's going to come and help me with T-shirts, or who's going to come and give me So you see why people in parliament will want to do the bidding of the executive so that they can be pulled into the executive.
You know, it's been so enlightening to speak to you. Like I said, there's a lot of you guys in parliament who are my friends. I have a lot of mates who are parliamentarians. And these are,
talk to them.
I know them personally. But you know, the minute they become parliamentarians, when I ask them my questions, they can't answer my questions. And it's beginning to make sense.
Absolutely.
Because I've known some of these guys as very passionate people. I know some of these guys are very principled people. I expect that when they get in position, I will start seeing change, but I've not seen it. And it's happened on all sides of the dividing fact. It's
the same thing. If NDC is in power, it's the same thing. Look, if the NDC was in power and I'm in parliament, I would want to be made a minister or a deputy minister. Because that's the only way I'll be able to take care of the several requests that I get from people. It makes it easier for me. It's the reality. Okay? And so at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying, that we have a system that is sick. You cannot have a system that is faulty give you perfect results.
No, we can't.
Until we rework the entire democratic framework of our country, we're going to continue to complain government in, government out about the same issues. And you see me, I'm able to talk about these things because, truth be told, I really don't give a hoot about office.
It's refreshing. It really is refreshing.
I am who I am, and I was who I was before I became a member of parliament. Okay, so, and after being a member of parliament, I'm still going to be who I am. And I keep saying to people that, look, the people who come into parliament and it is the all in all, that's the destination for them. Parliament is the destination. For me, parliament is transit. And so I'm able to take on the status quo because I don't care whether I'm in parliament for 4 terms or 2 terms or 3 terms. I don't give a hoot. I came in here to be an activist. I came in here to fight the status quo. I believe that to change the system and to fight the system, you must be in the system. If you're outside the system, you just make noise. Recently, when I took on the Speaker of Parliament over Parliament's decision to sit during coronavirus times and take on wrong bills, if I was an ordinary citizen who was complaining about Parliament, nobody would mind me. But because I'm a member of Parliament, I wrote to the Speaker of Parliament and challenged his authority. You need to be in there to fix it. Only me cannot fix it. I'm not going to fool myself. But I'm hoping that I will make the right noises to get the right kind of attention and traction that will begin to generate a national discussion and say, where are we going as a country? We're going around in circles because you have presidential candidates who come up and people have a buzz around them. Look, and I won't lie, I know President Mahama personally. He is a fantastic human being. He's passionate about fixing this country. He's passionate about getting this country working. But people will say when he was given the opportunity, we didn't see all of those things. Well, because he doesn't have a magic wand. Because you can't fight the status quo. There are people who know President Akufo-Addo and would also say that we knew President Akufo-Addo. He was passionate. And many of those people, if they'll be honest to you, will tell you they're highly disappointed in the governance that they are seeing today. This is not what they expected. So ask yourself, all these men who have dedicated their lives to fixing our country and serving our country, come out and finally become president, and then they become a disappointment to us. Do you think it's about them? It's about the system. It's about the bureaucracy. It's about the system we've built. And so the system is so sick. And look, when I talk about the system, I'm talking about civil servants in our country. Because look, there is no minister of state in this government today. There's no minister of state in the Akufo-Addo government who's been a minister for more than 3 years or 4 years. They were appointed when? You go into that ministry, and the chief director in that ministry or one of the directors in that ministry has been in that ministry since 1992.
You've gone there. It's the technocrats who actually are
they run the system.
Look,
I have worked as a civil servant before I became a presidential staffer, so I know the civil service and I know how it works. So when I speak, it's because I understand the system. I have been a civil servant, then I have moved into the executive to get in the legislature. So I know how our system works. And I know what the problems of our system are. So when at times I hear people attack and go on and on, at times, yes, you just do it because it's part of the flow. But the real truth is if we do not change the the framework of our system, what is thinking ourselves, nothing is going to work. That's why I said we run a confused system. We don't know whether we're birds or animals. We are like bats. So we are not a bird, we are not a mammal. It's just a mess. It really is a mess. And so, well, whichever ways you go about it, we've got issues in our country. We'll keep talking about it. We'll try to fix the ones we can fix. The ones that the system think will not affect those who make benefit out of the system, they would allow those changes. But the changes that would affect the interest of those who benefit from the system, forget it. They'll fight you. It's so entrenched. It's so entrenched. It's so ingrained. At times when you think about it, you just say, look,
and that's what I think is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't. For me, it's been very interesting. One of the reasons why I singled you out and I chased you and I wanted to speak to you was because maybe I asked, who would be blunt and tell me as it is? Who will not feed me a party line because I'm not interested? I'm tired of hearing it. I wanted to know the status of affairs. I was hoping, I would hear the you told me you come with. And for me, the leverage is here. I will say before now, the 109 watching me live may not have heard a fraction of what you said before. And because you're spoken to me, when we finish, I will also get in touch with the other account holders who have bigger audiences than I do. That's my job. I'm the catalyst. I am a very small platform, but when I start little things, they escalate out because I always radiate them out to bigger places. And until people like that begin to talk, until the everyday man gets sick and tired of the status quo, until we demand a change, why should they fix it? Because it works for them, doesn't it, Sam?
You know, I'll tell you something. I told you I have 3 kids, and as is normal of people who find themselves in the space I find myself, you want to have your kids outside of the country, outside of Ghana, so that your kids have a better opportunity, as is put in quotes, because they either hold British citizenship or American citizenship. I told my wife, we're going to have all of our kids in Ghana. Not because I couldn't afford to send my wife out to have the kids, but I said to her, there is no motivation for me to fix Ghana if I know that my kids have a different citizenship and can go and benefit from that country.
Music to my ears.
All 3 kids of mine were born in Ghana. And I have a responsibility. When I come to work, yes, I have constituents who voted for me and I work for them. But at the back of my head, what makes me wake up every morning and decide that, look, we've got to do something about the status quo? It's my kids. I need to bequeath to them a country that is better than what I have been bequeathed.
Yeah.
But you see, when the political class we're sick, we fly to the UK, we fly to the US. If we can fly to the UK and the US and have medical care, what's our problem with fixing the medical system in Ghana? Your man can go there and go and die because he's been given the wrong injection or because he don't have the right equipment, he will die. I know that if I sit on a plane, 6 hours I'll be in the UK. In 10 hours I'll be in the US. In 8 hours I'll be in Dubai. I'll get the best treatment. I can afford it. But what about the ordinary Ghanaian?
Yeah. What about
our university system can run down. And I don't give a hoot about it because my son is going to come to a university in the UK or in the US and I'll pay it. So I don't care. But if I'm a stakeholder, if my own children have to, and that's why I'm happy. It's one of the good things about Corona. If you're a big man today, you fall sick, it's the same hospital you go to. You can't travel anywhere.
It's a we are the same.
You get it. So until and unless we have a crop of people who are decision makers, who realize that we have a stake in this business, in fixing this business, we have to fix it for ourselves. Nobody's going to come from anywhere and come and fix it for us. Look, the IMF, the World Bank, they don't know our problem. They can't fix an African problem.
Do they want to fix an African problem?
If they can fix problems, they should go and fix racism in their countries.
Because it suits them. We make them money.
That's the point. So it is us. It is us. We need to decide. And look, I tell people, I think that I'm extremely young. for what I do. Extremely young. I have served Professor Mills. I have served President Mahama. I am in Parliament. I'll say that. Okay, I was a full presidential staffer for 4 years. I'm almost in my 4th year as a member of Parliament. I'm just 35 years old.
Oh wow!
And so I've been in this thing from when I turned around 25 at the highest office of the land. And so I have a responsibility to shape the next 10 to 15 years.
Are you sure?
Such that by the time I turn 50, and I don't have the energy and the drive that I have today.
Yeah.
There's a better country. You see, and people fail to realize it. The men who today we are saying are most vulnerable because of corona, because they've got diabetes, they've got high blood pressure, they're in their 60s. When they were in their 30s and they were in charge of the country, if they had put this country on a solid footing, they won't care about the state of our healthcare today.
Yeah.
They are lying in the bed that they laid in their youth.
Ooh.
So when I fight the system today, it is because I'm thinking about when I am old and gray and weak. And I will be at the mercy of the system that I have been part of building.
Thank you.
But if we think about only today, tomorrow, you may have all the money. You could be a multi-millionaire in Ghana today. Go to London and let me see. Go and take your medical treatment in London and let me see. You can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere.
Occult groups. But listen, so I don't know, some might not be aware of it. I'm one of the people who's definitely championing the new age independent candidates, because in my own way, I felt that people who are also protected by the party, people who are reined in by the parties, are also constrained because you are not able to do the things you want to, because the party machinery whips you into line. And
Yes.
so I've seen, I'm a politician's daughter, so the way things work, my dad has been an MP, was an MP for years, so I understood how that worked at that time. I was naive enough to think that things had moved on and had changed. It turns out that nothing has changed.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But yeah, I'm one of those who's looking at that, because when you come to politics and you are naked, when you come to politics and you know that you have to work to make sure that the population actually sees your work and the validity they give you is directly correlated to what you do, you probably would do some more. I think a lot of you in parties are also whipped into line. Is that a fair statement or is it not?
It's a factual one. It doesn't need to be fair and fair. It's factual. I mean, there are times when I have had to shut up because my party is taking a position.
Right.
And like it or not, that's my party's position. There's the principle of collective responsibility. When you're in a government or in a political party, you either put up or shut up. You know, if you don't want it, you step out of it. However, our democracy has not gotten to that place where you're going to see independent candidates win an election. That's not going to happen. Not today.
Not from somewhere. So I say to people, my drive comes from 22, 23 years ago, when General Eskin came back and he was looking to stand as an independent candidate. He had a meeting with my dad. I was the little girl eating pie and drinking Fanta in the corner. But I was still a little girl who wanted to hear what they were discussing. And I remember my dad asking him if he would win the elections. He laughed his head off and he says, "Are you mad? Of course I'm not winning the election. Of course, I'll be lucky to get 5 votes. But I need to start this process so the next person sees viability, Maybe the next serious round of people who would be crazy enough to continue will happen 20, 25 years time, and it sure is what is happening. And that's why I'm excited. Might they change everything overnight? Probably not. But the next round will make a more credible state. And people will begin to see that as a viable choice. It's what I'm hoping for. I'm aware.
Well, I respect that point of view. However, I disagree.
Okay,
I think that what we should rather begin to look at is have progressive minds get themselves involved in the political parties.
But they get whipped into
line. No. Who is whipping you into the line? It's leadership of that party. So let's get progressive minds, get involved in the political parties, rise up and take positions of authority, so that when you're whipping people into line, you will whip them into lines that are progressive.
Okay.
Because you see, you cannot change look, even in the UK, with all its years of democracy, you won't have even the system in the UK prevents an independent from becoming prime minister.
Yeah.
Because it is the leader of the party with the majority in parliament that's prime minister. In the US, it's similar. The majority in Congress will determine who is the Speaker of the House. So political parties cannot be done away with. You cannot think that for the life of me, in another 1,000 years, I don't see independents taking over the reins of leadership. No. What those progressive minds must do is find themselves within a political party and reshape the ideology of a political party. Let me give you a typical example of the NDC.
Okay.
Today, there's a school of thought that thinks that the NDC is a feeble party that has lost its revolutionary roots. Now, to say the old to me NDC for, and before Buyen, we've lost our drive. Why? Because in 2008, you had a Professor Mills who decided that he wanted to rebrand the NDC.
All right. Okay.
Move the NDC from the NDC of Jerry Rawlings and its revolutionary antecedents. And he introduced the social democratic framework of the NDC.
True.
He came and became president and did not go in the vindictive manner and rather brought the father for all things. Brought down made all the hawks go to lie and made everybody a dove. Because everybody needed to reflect the leader who led. You had a John Mahama who was his vice president who took over from him and continued in that father for all situation. And that has it's changed the whole complexion of the NDC from being the party that is aggressive. You have the NPP that was known as the party of Akachifo, lawyers and that kind of thing, the bourgeois. You have a leader today, Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, who's led the party for a while, who is a little more militant. And today, you then see the formation of militant groups like the Invisible Forces and Delta Forces within the NPP. So you realize that political parties take a reflection of those who lead it. And so if you then have progressive minds beginning to take leadership of the two major political parties in our country, the reflection of the political party's ideology and the creeping into line will be in line with progressive tendencies. But when the progressives think that they will sit in an office and be clean and be on social media and criticize those of us who want to get into the trenches and fix it, and you guys will be the nice guys and we will be the Sansam Blossoms, you leave a certain category of people in control of the political parties. And the political parties take the shape and direction of those people who lead it. More progressives should come into the political parties and let's work together. It is the only way to change the system.
Mate, this is personal. This is personal. This is very personal.
Yeah, get off your high horse. Come down into the trenches.
Oh, this is personal. This is personal, mate. This is very personal. Okay, it's been a long time since I got called out like that. It's been a long, long time since I had a part my own.
This shit didn't have any name attached to it. This shit didn't have any name attached to it. Me, I'm just saying my own. Say Echiwa.
But it's true, you know. I know too many people, too many skilled people, too many very competent people, too many people with integrity who don't come to the parties because you know it will be compromised. And I'm one of them. And that's why I'm laughing. I'm one of them. I was
so imagine when that over the next 10 years, we have an influx of that category of people, professionals, skilled professionals, all finding themselves starting at the base of the party and rising through the ranks.
Yeah.
And then you have general secretaries and organizers who of the political parties who are like people, progressive minds. When the party whips its members into line, it is along those thinkings of the progressive minds. That's. I mean, if you think you'll be outside, that's the point I made at the beginning. Like, if you think you'll be outside the system and change the system, you're knocking your head against the wall. You need to get in to fix it.
All right. And yeah, I think that's a very powerful message anyway. I was the kid whose dad lost it all in the hood. And I was the kid who swore I would never do it to my kids, ever do it to my kids. And it's always been that one thing, which has always, it was a promise. I know what happens when you stake it. My dad came, he wanted to come, ride and change and read. And he rather ended up losing it all. So yeah, I was one who did not want to look at it. I started this social media advocacy and I was feeling very complacent. You know, I'm talking to people and I'm connecting people and I'm galvanizing people. And it was a really nice place to say until recently, until people like you started calling me out. And I don't think I like it much. Don't think I like it much. But it's got to be done. It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
And it's got to be done by us. I mean, I keep saying that for many of the Ghanaians in the diaspora, I look at them and I have a certain mixed feeling, because you sit in the diaspora and you think you know what's going on in Ghana because you remit people here in Ghana. You send a few dollars or pounds back home, and you come in once in 2 years or once in a year. You think you know what the status quo is. You think you know how the country must be run. You don't know what's going on back here. Okay. And when you have a complete disconnect from the system, you're part of the problem without knowing that you're part of the problem. Because you would go and come back home when you hit retirement and you think you've wabobra, and you come back home to a country. And that's why you see many people who've gone to the diaspora and spent 10 years there, 15 years there, they come back to Ghana and they just can't seem to assimilate. They can't. They end up running back and running away. You know, so if you want to fix this, and that's what I'm saying, the same way I'm looking at the next 15, 20 years and saying that I want to fix this country for myself and for my kids, you must be asking yourself, when you're done in the diaspora and you come back home, what kind of country do you want to see? And what are you doing to contribute to that country that you want to see? Don't think that you are in the diaspora. Some people should fix the country for you to come and enjoy. If we here, we fix the country, we'll block all of you from coming home. Because you didn't take part in us fixing the country.
Is it somebody radical? Oh, wow.
Because at the end of the day, if we need to fix this country, all hands must be on deck.
I agree.
Do you get it? If we agree that when you go there, I mean, we come there, we come and visit, and we come back, and we see social infrastructure, we see the way of life. A Ghanaian who's lived outside will not wait for anybody to come and chase him. He knows when to go and file his taxes. Then that Ghanaian comes to Ghana and sets up a company. When he sets up a company, he doesn't want to go and file his taxes.
Yeah.
But when he's in the white man's country, he will file his taxes. But when he comes to Ghana, he won't file his taxes. Then he will go and sit down on the internet and say Ghana is a messed up country. The country that is not messed up that you are in, it is the taxes that are paid on time.
Thank you. But I mean, that's one of the things which frustrates me when Ghanaians say it's taxpayers' money. And I'm like, how much have you contributed?
Absolutely. Many people who say it's taxpayers' money don't even pay tax.
Most of them don't.
They don't pay tax.
I am in the UAE at the moment, and there's a huge debacle over repatriation of guys who came here to work. They came here seeking greener pastures. It's not my word. They need to go home. They haven't got the money. It needs to be raised somehow. And some of these guys, when you talk to them, are like, I am a taxpayer. The government come and take me. Okay, well, how much tax did you pay at home?
Absolutely.
How much tax have you paid? We are so entitled as a group of people, but we don't contribute. We don't want to contribute. We just want to claim. Yeah, taxpayers is a great expression with Ghana. It's our money. It's our money. I'm like, what? How much of that money is yours? How much you put in? We need to quickly change a lot of things. We do. Sam, you gave me an hour. I didn't realize that I had actually overrun because I'm enjoying this so much. You have to promise me you will come again sometime soon because there's so
Hopefully.
much.
Hopefully. I mean, I engage in these conversations that are social conversations because I think that you may not like me. And look, I don't care. Honestly, I don't I don't care whether you like me because for everybody who doesn't like me, there are possibly 5 or 10 people who love me. So, and even Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, had people who didn't like him. So I really don't have a problem with people not liking me. But bottom line is, whether you like me or you don't like me, listen to what I'm saying and think about it objectively and say that and ask yourself, does it make sense? Because look, if Ghana works, it works for all of us. I keep saying to my people that look, in my conference, I say when a road is fixed and that road is good and there's more trouble, when you hit that road, they don't ask you to show you're not asked to show your party card first before you use the good road.
Exactly.
It's the same way when the road is bad. They don't ask you to show your party card before you use that road. So it is incumbent on us to fix our country.
Yeah.
It is incumbent on us to fix our country and know that when we fix this country, it works for all of us. Look, one of the most powerful men in government was the venerable PV Obeng. It's a sad story. How did he die? He was driving his own car when he had an attack. It was a taxi. He was bundled by a taxi driver into a taxi and rushed to a hospital and was declared dead on arrival. That was a very powerful man in the country.
Mr. Misata was the same, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, at that time you may say Misata was out of government, but I mean, at this time, just yesterday, the president of Burundi, sitting president Pierre Nkurunziza, president. So at the end of the day, we are at the mercy of how good our systems are, because you can have a crisis where there is no benefit of time to fly you out.
Thank you.
And it is the system we've built here that will work for us. I see Mami Efwa, who keeps saying hi from Germany. Hi, Mami Efwa. Yeah. But for me, ultimately, and I see Angela's comments also. It's I'm not just calling out the diaspora. I'm not calling people out in the diaspora. Don't get it wrong. I'm just saying you have as much a responsibility in making this work as those of us who are resident locally.
Absolutely.
Because it works for. Look, if you have a system that works well here in Ghana, you are at peace when you're in the diaspora.
Yeah.
Because your people who are here who are dependent on you, you know that there's a functional system here. Because if you buy a car to take care of your mother and the roads are good, you would spend less in sending. You spend less money when you send money for maintaining that car, as compared to when the roads are bad. So at the end of the day, whether you are in here or you are out there, you are, so long as you have connections back home, you are affected by what the situation is back here.
I think it hits us worse. It really does. Yeah. A couple of years back, I came to Ghana and got sick. I got to Ghana and I got sick. They had me dancing around, taking every test there was. And it was funny. I had taken the tests, but the interpretation was becoming very difficult. And I remember at that time, back in uni, and people wanting to go to medical school. And in my cohorts, the very best people who should have been never made it in. A lot of them
because their fathers were not big men.
No, a lot of them became depressed. Some of them became wayward after that one. But those were the people who really wanted to be doctors. And they were not just there to get the title to go into politics and to do whatnot. And I remember when I went to this guy is trying to interpret, and I am looking on the internet, interpreting for him. And he's agreeing to what I'm telling him. I'm like, do you know, I should have stuck in medical school and I've done a better job than you did. Oh my God. And he said, oh, And I'm like, yeah, such a body was my course mate. And he's like, oh my God, yeah, this is my mentor. I'm like, oh, thanks. One, you've made me feel old. And two, you've challenged my mentality, growing. And yeah, a lot of us are personal. We are selfish. I don't think a lot of us understand our responsibilities in nation building. We don't. A lot of us like making excuses, and we like blaming other people when things have been done. They haven't been done the way we want. But I don't think I'm guilty. I haven't invested as much as I should do. Should be ashamed of it. In fact, should do some more. So it's wonderful that you actually have the girl to call me out on my own show. And
it's what I do.
I was going to say, contrary to what people would expect, it's those people I respect. I respect people who have the bravado to call out a spade when it's a spade, because it's never a spoon, is it?
Absolutely, it's what it is. And look, that just so we're clear, I'm not perfect. I have my flaws, but ultimately, for me, it is the end result that matters. It's what we have to do. It's if you do not understand what the problems are, how then do you diagnose a possible solution?
Yeah.
Okay. And so for me, I think that, look, let's have a generation of Ghanaians today. Ghanaians from 20 to say 45 or 50. That generation of Ghanaians. And let's decide that, look, we've always been told the future is ours. There's no future. Let's that future for ourselves. Okay, and I say this as a joke, but it's really serious. That in the next 10 years, a lot of the people we look up to as senior statesmen will no longer be with us by virtue of natural progression. Many of them are in their 70s. In the next 10 to 15 years, they will all go to be with their maker. And it's going to now behove on those of us today who think that we have time. We're going to be thrust into managing and leading this country. And if we've not put in place the systems now, you would fail in a classical style, because you're going to be working on failures of other people, and it'll be a compound failure.
Oh, but you know what scares me? I look at my dad's generation, and the people who went to politics at that time were some of the most skilled. They were some of the most passionate. They were some of the most talented. The same hasn't happened with my generation. The same hasn't.
Yeah.
The people I know that I went to school with, the people that I know quite closely, the ones who were most skilled and not in politics.
No, they don't want to. And that's a conundrum. Someone said something to me. He said the beauty of the problem, if you want to see the beauty, and this is sarcastic, the beauty of the problem facing our country. You see young men and women like ourselves go through life, hustle, struggle, and make some savings. And when we make the savings, we go and buy a car for Uber. So you've worked so hard for 2-3 years, put your savings together, and you've bought an Uber. And who do you give the Uber to? Someone who most likely completed class 6 or JHS. So you, who is educated and has worked your butt off and has deprived yourself of so much, you place your investment, which is your car, in the hands of someone who is not so much educated. And so he comes back, and today the car is problematic, is this, is that, and you lose your investment. Now, that's the same way when people who are extremely educated, extremely skilled, extremely passionate about fixing this country, stay away from the governance system. Nature abhors a vacuum. You will have, well, let me be charitable. You will have people with average intellect, people of normal standing, find their way in governance, and they will use their normal and below average IQs to make decisions for you.
That's so true. That is so true.
It's up to you. Get involved and take control of your destiny, or sit back. And people who you think are not qualified to even have a conversation with you will be the ones who will tell you when to sleep and when to wake up, because they would control power. It's up to us. I gotta run.
You've given me enough for enough nightmares. I will wrap the show and I'll be back in touch. Sam, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. I am so glad you honored the call. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Okay, so now we're talking. Right, I have your attention. I wanted you to speak to Sam. I am one who likes to bring people to the table who might not necessarily be what you think they should be. A lot of you would know Sam. A lot of you know he's an NDC man. I don't think he hides anything about it. A lot of us, myself included, don't necessarily see an active participation in politics. Angela, you kicked my hand the other time, and Sam has definitely stepped it right up. It's interesting. From my comfortable position, it's suddenly not very comfortable. It is our turn, Angela. It sure is our turn. We need more competent people to turn up. We need more passionate people to turn up. Oh, he's an NDC man of herself, but he's not your typical NDC man. And it's really nice to show people like that to the audience. I want people to know that it's possible for you to be in a party and still not be so afraid to air your views. I hope that inspires more people to be a little bit more patriotic. Thank you, Nana Puku. Thank you. Yes, if you want your Father's Day souvenirs, get in touch with me, please. Let me make personalized ones and expedite postage so you can get it. It is gospel truth. If you refuse to act, others will, and the consequences will affect you. Abaketia, it's good to see you. Our mothers are part of nature, and we, the men, live in nature with your mothers. It's true. But you know, we need to live peaceably. We need to be able to have a conducive environment to be able to live with our mothers. Yeah, he's an NDC man. NDC MP for Ningo Pram Pram. He's a sitting MP. Very interesting. Very interesting. Francis, I am in with Angela. I am championing for Angela. I am connecting Angela, and I was patting myself on the back, thinking that I had done a good enough job. It takes such conversations to really kick me in the teeth. It really has. Oh yes, Angela, it has to be about competence. It really has. No, it's not just about any woman stepping up. We are tired of seeing some other women. Actually, it's because of those women that people don't respect us. It's because of those women that this whole environment of women can only do this, women can only do that exists. There are some of us who reaffirm the stereotypes. No, I don't want any of those people anywhere near government. Not at all. If women are going to go to politics, women are going to go to politics very competent, about to take. Well, you said something, and it really did resonate with me. You can't effect change from the outside. That has been me. I have been fighting that battle for the last 2 years. I have been wanting to effect change from a distance. It's exhausting, and it does not really achieve much. I am willing to make that confession. I am willing to make that confession. You strive, but from such a distance, your impact is minimal. Minimal, if any. Oh, it's your first time. Oh, wow. Imario, please subscribe to the page. Follow the page. We definitely are here to learn. I will bring lots and lots of interesting people for you to talk to. I want you to meet the broad spectrum of operatives in the Ghanaian political landscape. I want us all to understand where our skills are. We want to see who our assets are, and we need to know where we're going to align. But what he said, which resonates with me, is that maybe some of us also need to look. We are looking at the independents and we are pushing the independents. Some of you are not willing to be with the independents. Maybe some of you also need to start infiltrating the existing political parties. And we need to augment the mindset of the existing political parties. Maybe more of you need to run, so you take the reign from Chairman Wuntumi. Many more people need to go and contest and take the reins from, who do I know on the other side? Abronye DC. Who else? Sami Jemfe is young. Some of you are just as young or slightly older than Sami, but more of you need to be in there to contest. so that after a while, we would effect change from infiltration. And that's also a good strategy I had not even thought about yet. Oh, Francis, I'm not just a woman. I'm not just a woman. I am a woman who's worked really, really hard to scale myself and position me. So no, what I know and what I feel has nothing to do with gender. It's all about experience, and it's all about opportunity, which has been placed at my disposal. 10,000 from politics. What is $10,000? $10,000. What would you use it for? $10,000 is chicken change. I paid some Chinese guys to make a bag for me, and which nearly made me go bankrupt. But there you go. That's $10,000. How much is that? It's not a lot of money. It really isn't that. O'Neill and say you chanced on it. Oh wow! Please stay. Please subscribe. I will bring you more people. I will let you see more dimensions. I think a lot of people. Hey, that's Kofi Kwanzaa. Kofi Kwanzaa is one of the other independent candidates. I've been speaking to Kofi. I think this is the 6th week or so. We interrogate things. We want to understand things. My absolute pleasure, Patrick. My absolute pleasure. Abroad DC, yes, Nana Pupu. Please, people don't pay tax in abroad because they love to, but the system forces you. Well, maybe our system also needs to start forcing more of us to pay. Anyone who goes to parliament gets captured by the system and the perks. I think it does happen. But you know what I said? I will not go to parliament, and I will not go to parliament now looking to catch anybody's eye, because I found myself doing what I need already in my profession. If I ever decide that I'm going to parliament, I could even happily do it for no pay. Maybe when more self-made people turn up to parliament, not now looking to establish, not now looking to take care of kids, not now looking to connect with anybody to find favor, then maybe at that point we will begin to make progress. But as long as people go and people need and people want, they get manipulated. It's a lot easier to manipulate somebody who is after something. MPP and NDC don't want to implement ROPA because ROPA brings a huge risk for those guys. We are not the kind of people they can whip into line. See what's happening on social media and you will see why they are afraid of ROPA. ROPA brings in another group of people. ROPA brings in another mentality. We are people they do not manipulate successfully because we've seen other things. Remember that. The status quo doesn't want ROPA because a lot of you are considered radical. A lot of you in the diaspora are considered radical. You are impossible to whip into line. I hear that a lot when I go to Ghana. You are a very difficult person. It's so difficult to engage with you. You don't toe the line. No, I don't toe any line. And so yes, ROPA is very scary for them. Very. Wafasek, I don't think we've heard enough of our problems. I don't know if you were here from the beginning. If you were not here from the beginning, please do go back and watch the video. Sam, he was brave. Sam, he has definitely earned my respect. Because what Sam was actually spewing at the beginning is core truth. Is people wouldn't like. Core truth, nobody would like to hear. But it's allowed me to understand people who are not effective the way I was expecting them to be effective. It's allowed me to see strong people being converted into wimps when they've gone into politics in Ghana. It really has explained the fundamental construct to me. I think more of us need to go watch it. More of us need to understand it. Oh, Wafasa, you need your plans, and so do I. But we also need to start making sure that the plans are getting galvanized. So it doesn't become a plan you implement in your retirement years. It needs to be a plan of your youth. It needs to be a plan for right now. Nobody can make the home, our mothers, a comfortable place apart from our own mothers. There are certain things that make it easier for your mom to make their home comfortable, believe me. And some of those things are outside the circle of influence of your mother, believe me. The legislatures do have a lot of control, direct effect on your mother. But your mother might not have access to legislation. She might not inform legislation. She might not change legislation, but it is definitely affecting her. Oh, you are on the ground. Well done, comrade. Well done, comrade. We need more comrades on the ground anyway. Some of us, well, I don't even know if I physically can make it this summer. But whether I make it this summer or not, my impact still has to happen on the ground. I'm also looking at strategies to get my impact on the ground, to start my education even remotely, to have people who enable my vision to happen without me physically being there. Corona is making us all rethink and consider a lot of things. This is what I want you to take from me this afternoon. The constitution of the land has to change. And Esther Yeboah and a few people have already said that to me. We've heard a lot of people. But I think what we heard today from the sitting MP convinces me beyond all else. The constitution has to change. Our structure, the general construct has to change. Certain things have to be eliminated. MP, so it was Honorable Dr. Thomas Sise. He came here the other time and he says that people who are sitting MPs should not be made ministers, and a lot of you did not understand why. Well, Sam has definitely explained why MPs should not be ministers. It becomes scratch my back and I scratch yours, and it doesn't work for the general. A lot of things have to change. We really need to talk. Oh, we need to step up politically. My good gosh, we do. We sure do. Oh, Ange, we would definitely talk impact. We have a lot of things to talk about since the last time we spoke. But I said, you don't just call Sam out as part of the problem. I am part of the problem. My fault is inaction. My fault is inaction. My fault is selfishness. Taking care of my own first. That's it. If I would have gone to Ghana to contest for a seat, I would have brought more competence to one area, and I have not done that. I have not done that. My father's old seat is being contested by a cousin of mine, and I was feeling very proud. It's coming home. One of our own is going, and another cousin asked me, well, who is more directly related to Doc amongst all of us? And I'm like, who knows his ideals best amongst all of us? And I'm like, who has seen his memoirs and has read his notes more than all of us? And at that time I had a headache. My head was spinning. I am guilty. I cannot call out Sam George. At least he's doing something. At least he's there. At least he's trying to. What about me? Professor, what about you? Charles, what about you? Francis and you? Angela says she wants to go. She's brave. She has my respect. Yes, it really did kick me. But what about us? What about the rest of us? Yes, a lot of us sit conveniently and we start pointing fingers at others. Stop it! To point a finger, you have these three also pointing back at you. 1 versus 3. And it's about time we stop looking at where the one is pointing and start paying attention to where the other 3 are pointing. Sam is the problem? I don't think so. Amma was the problem first. I think Amma is a bigger problem. That's the way I see things anyway. That's the first declaration, Angela. That we know it has to change and we work to make sure it does. But if I said you were not here, he says that as a parliamentarian, he cannot bring legislature if it will cost the state even 1 city. Go watch the beginning of the show. That's why a lot of these MPs are not bringing bills or anything, because the constitution, currently the constitution we work with, says they can't. I remember my dad, and if you go on Parliament at the moment, you will see his record and the things that he did and the things that he was effecting. And those things are not being done routinely at the moment because the constitution says they can't. Did you hear that? The constitution says that they cannot bring a bill which will cost the states even a city. Is it beginning to make sense? Now that itself has to change. It really does. It has to change. Anyway, you're doing yours in your small way. Angela will tell me, oh, okay, okay, God bless you. We all need to do our little bits. We all need to do our little bits. The three fingers point at me this afternoon. They clearly do. I'm more interested in those three than the one this points to. Oh, he explained a lot of things. For Facet, please go and watch it. He was not blaming a sitting government and absolving his party. He was not. All right. Oh, okay. Francis, then we really do need to talk. You and I and Angela need to sit in conference and talk some serious strategies. We do. So Kofi, and those of you I have been chatting to, it's time to actually launch serious campaigns. So you will hear from me. Maybe I need to be a little bit more active. Maybe I need to stake my neck out a little bit more. I will have to sit down and think and work out what's a feasible way to make it happen in the earliest possible instance, and to avail more of myself to more of my people. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, as you can see, I've got wounds to go and lick. I've got very raw wounds to go and lick. I have a mirror to go look inside. I have some deep, deep soul searching to do. I have some honesty with myself that needs to happen. Doesn't make for very pleasant thinking. I don't know about that one, Ofase. Your sister definitely will be dragged to Parliament screaming and kicking, because I've seen it all before. I've seen it all before. I know exactly what that entails. I do. I know the sacrifices is why I have been running. I have lived it. We have lived it with my dad. I would have been a comfortable, very comfortable young girl if my dad hadn't chosen the path he did. Could have really grown up in a very wealthy family, living the very privileged life. But on 31st December, when Jerry John decided that he was having his coup, a lot of things changed, and a lot of things changed for my family and I. We lost it all of it, all of it. Then I suppose in a long roundabout sort of way, we all gained it because we had to rebuild and restart from scratch, but we lost it all. So for one who'd lost it all, for one who'd seen it all, for one who's seen the highs and the loss of it, I'm under no illusions about the way our politics works. No illusions about that one. And it's one of the reasons why I have never been attracted to it. It's one of the reasons why, as Sam says, I have been the coward running. Maybe. Anyway, let me go and do some thinking. Let me go and do some talking. Nanaya, I know Angela Santiama is definitely one. She's put her name there. But what about Nanaya? Is Nanaya, like Amma Manson, also pushing other people and distancing themselves and wanting other people to be the saviors? Is that what Nanaya is also doing? Because that's clearly what Amma Manson is doing. Clearly what I'm doing. I'm doing the really lovely cop-out and hoping that I would find other people to do it. So Amma doesn't need to stick my neck out. Anyway, let me bounce. Let me leave you here. Let me let you ponder. The rest of this reflection has to be internal. And when I've actually done my internal processing and it is worthy of sharing, I'll tell you where I go. I'll tell you where I go. Oh, the face, the image, the reputation, and a lot of things about our politics has to change. It really does. It really does. Anyway, let me go off. I have therapy to do. So let me go and do therapy. Let me go do soul searching. And this evening, I'll be back in touch with Oasis. We'll be talking family matters and a lot of things in between. And maybe we might have our night show tonight. Our mothers are talking, and it's really encouraging. Those of you who know, my love for Epiadonko is something else. I am so protective of that woman. She is so critical to the change we want to see. It's a tough road, Alexandra. Of course it's a tough road. Anybody who tells you it's not tough is a bleeding liar and doesn't even deserve a minute of your time. It's a sacrificial road, really. Uncomfortable. But somebody's got to walk it, so why not you, Alexandra? Why not you? Why not you, Nanaya? Why not Amamansen? Why not Ofaset? Why not everybody? Why not Charles? Is what I want you to finish this video on. Why not you? What is your role? How would your life count? I've not answered those questions. I'm off to go and seek answers. I will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching, but please make watch videos out of it for me on your pages. Please share the video for me. There are many more people we need to reach. The numbers were quite encouraging today, but we can do better. We can do much better. Please share the video for me and let's speak sometime soon. Good afternoon. Why not you, Angela? Yeah, why not you? Why not me?